Hey, this is Individual Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Daris D, McKinney, and I'm trying to get my shirt together here. Don't know which side I'm on, you know? It's right here. It's right here. Okay. How you guys doing? I'm sorry. You know, I'm doing too much. I had to change. I was out doing work and stuff since 5 this morning, and then I come back in and talk to you guys. How you guys doing? Uh, Individual Perspective Podcast, The Morning View. How you guys doing? My name is Daris D. McKinney. Hit the like, share, subscribe. And I told myself I was listening to all my podcasts, and I said, man, I guess my tone is maybe a little bit too extravagant, or how can I say, too aggressive or high in velocity, and just kind of it's a little bit more like yelling in a way. And I'm not really yelling, but I guess the way that I'm communicating is a little high tone, you know. So I told myself to try to do my podcast as a little more mellow, and even if I'm extremely aggressive, try to be mellow about it, because it's probably easier on the ear of the listeners and stuff like that. I'm gonna make an effort, okay? As you listen to podcasts, as you do podcasts, and you have to watch them and observe them and view your own podcasts to kind of see what you need to improve on and things like that. And I'm always doing that, you know, and I'm always kind of improving on things. And that's what I do with individual perspective. I try to improve every single time I do it to kind of give you guys a good platform here and doing different things and scope of podcasting and getting my audience up and stuff. Look, I don't know what it is in the algorithm that keeps me where I'm not being viewed by the audience. They say it's the titling, but I do the titling, so I can't say that is it, because I even change up titles just to kind of see if I'm pushed in the algorithm. I just think it's what YouTube kind of feels that it wants to share, and who you are and what's the value of the value exchange in the economic system with YouTube. We don't know. I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to keep doing what I got to do and just never give up, never surrender. You know, I feel that at the least I need to put it on record how I view about society, politics, all that stuff. And morning view, I was out this morning, you know, working and doing too much, pretty much. That's what I look at it as. It's completely ridiculous, you know. It's just doing too much, you know. And when I was out in it, I had came across I was like, you know, okay, let me go, you know, let me run around, and then I'll, you know, do what I gotta do to put some, like, you know, everybody's putting gas in the car and everything. So I said, let me put some gas in the car and stuff like that. And you would not believe what gas is like right now. It is crazy. I went to a gas station. This, the funny part about it is, you know, Trump, you not really, yeah, you like, look, I'm a big Trump person. I love Trump and stuff, but I think he gave up his whole political what would we call that, political capital for Israel. You get what I'm saying? Or what, I wouldn't even say Israel, because I think he really is trying to do something sensible with the whole constantly have to interact with Iran and everything. But boy, I tell you, it's no give and take on this stuff. You know what I mean? It really is. When you see gas, I'm trying to bring it up to the screen too, so you guys can see it. This was what my gas was. That's what my gas was. You get what I'm saying? Gas was never that much. You know, I guess I was I'm like, that means that it could easily go to $6 or $7 in Michigan. It is somebody put a sticker on the thing and said I did that. And he did. Trump, this is all Trump. This is worse than Biden ever did. This is worse than what Biden ever did. We got to start off with not criticizing Biden or Obama or anybody else for like keeping our society the way it is. I said this in 2015 that this country's dead. It's not really a good country anymore, and it haven't been one in a while. Certain things that are like let's say certain things that Roosevelt did at his time. A lot of those things didn't really take effect until the 80s and the 90s, and the things that Reagan did in the 80s and the 90s didn't really hit us to the early 2000 and 2010. You get what I'm saying? And a lot of the stuff that Obama did, it really hasn't hit us until like now. You get what I'm saying? So, Trump, he's actually he's doing things so rapidly and so changeable that it is, you can't see him. You can see things that he'll do like in a month and it'll take effect. A couple months and it'll take effect with us. You know what I mean? Because these are some big moves that he's making. He's kind of going against 40, 50 years of government operation. And that's going to really just be disruptive. But you think the people smart enough to understand that? I'm telling you, they're not. The average person is not. They don't understand what business is. They don't understand what operation and evaluating pros and cons and decision making and stuff. They don't understand what that stuff is, and they could care less about it. It's so irrelevant to them that it's not part of the equation for the average person. So when you know that that's how things are technically being ran, you gotta look at like, oh wow, man, we really in a society that how can I say? I will say I would say that it's unrepairable. You know what I mean? It's $5. Like, oh yes, I'm using premium, but I gotta see it from that point. You know what I mean? Because the average person is $3 and something cents, something like 60-80 cents. $3.80 for like the cheapest gas is pretty, like, it's pretty bad. Then you got $4 and something for medium, and then you got $5 for like premium gas. And for me, that's wow. I know what the gas is. I put a lot of gas in the car. I travel a lot, and I put a lot of gas in the car. So I'm able to, like, from the average person, they're spending, like, if they're lucky, if they're actually moving around a lot and stuff, they're spending about, $50, $50 to $100 on gas a week. You know what I mean? For me, it's more like $250. You get what I'm saying? It's aggressive. You get what I'm saying? So when I see stuff like that, that's aggressive. It's earth shattering and it's economically disruptive to me. You know what I mean? So it's the morning view. I'm coming on. I'm gonna do, like I said, I'm gonna start setting the morning view to be about 8:30. I'll say 8:30, 9 o'clock if I can. Sometimes I'm out and I'm doing work or something like that, and I can't really get back to the computer fast enough where I have to leave back out or something like that, and I can't really kind of do it. So I'll push it, but I'll make sure from now on we do the morning view. And I don't even know what to tell you guys. I don't even know what to tell you guys. And that's not a good way to start off with me not knowing how to articulate our world. You know what I mean? What is that? That's my email. Let me cut that off because I do not want bells and stupid stuff clinging while we're doing this. Okay. So when I'm looking at I'm sorry. I haven't had coffee this morning. Literally been running since 5 o'clock and I haven't had coffee yet. it's insane. Okay. I know. I want to look at a couple things today, and I want to kind of start talking to you about credibility of the media. You know what I mean? Let me see if I can find it. It's easy to just start talking than a lot of stuff, you know what I mean? But it's better to kind of find what I'm talking about. I was watching Fox News, and it was in the afternoon or the evening yesterday, and it was a segment on the 5 yesterday. And I said, man, I gotta show people what it is to why the myth of fair and balance is so destructive to facts and objectivity. And it was like, and the reason why I thought of it was because whatever they were talking about, the way that they were articulating themselves, it was just, it was just not good. You get what I'm saying? So I'm going to go to it real quick and see if I can pull something. I'm going to go to the latest. Let's see what this is. Okay, let's see what this is. Okay. And forgive the commercials. I am not going to pay the YouTube subscription because I don't want to give another company subscriptions. I think I'm paying like $200 on this stuff a month. It's ridiculous. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit overboard. Maybe it's more like 100. If I put my servers and clouds and stuff like that, maybe it's like $150, $160. But I'm gonna round it off to $200 because I could be wrong. It's something. It may be higher. You know what I mean? Subscription base. Yeah, I'm gonna grab some coffee. I have my better half. She's kind of making coffee, so I'm gonna grab it as we talk. Okay, so let's get this onto the screen. Let's see. How you guys doing this morning? Are you up? Are you awake? Are you fired up, ready to go? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Are you? Are you excited about life and what it brings? All that good stuff. It's insane. Life is insane. Yeah, they're talking about gas right now on the TV. I'm listening to it. It's not good. Oh, Trump, man. Yeah, you fucked up on this one, dude. I don't even know what to say. Cause it's so not good. You know what I mean? There's no upside. We lost 13 soldiers. To what? I have no problem with Israel. I know it's a lot of whack people like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and all them. They bitching and moaning about Israel and all that stuff like that. But they're proven wrong. They're proven right when we hurt our own like value overall to execute on something that's favorable to Israel. You get what I'm saying? And I have no problem with Israel. I'm just saying this ain't good, you know. So let's go. You know, before we start getting into all this stuff, let me switch this over, and let's see this real quick. I really don't like anchors. I've admitted, and I'm gonna say it out loud. I don't like anchors. I don't like pundits. You know what I mean? And I guess you become a pundit automatically if you give your point of view as an exchange on topics and stuff on news. So everybody's subjected to become a pundit or a commentary person. You know what I mean? But I think unless you objective and you brutally honest to the dialogue and the interaction and what's going on, you are a poison pill for the American people.
Won't be alone. And we're going to have a much safer world when it's wrapped up. It'll be wrapped up soon. We're going to have a much safer world.
That was President Trump sounding off as Operation Epic Fury enters week 3, with the U.S. military delivering one major blow after another to Iran's military capabilities and dismantling the terror regime's missile production. U.S. forces also pounding Karg Island, that's Iran's main oil hub, as President Trump looks to form a coalition of allies to help secure the Strait of Hormuz.
We attacked Karg Island and knocked it literally, destroyed everything on the island except for the.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a detailed walkthrough because he gave about three big press conferences yesterday, and I think all of them tells you everything you need to know about how he feels about Iran, why he did what he did in Iran, and kind of say like, hey, this is like objectively his opinion and his view on why he made the decision he made. Now, yes, you have Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and Nick Fortes and all kind of other podcasters and people that are analyzing it, saying that he did it as a puppet of Bibi Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel. And yes, you could say that is an equation, an evaluation, and a hypothesis that you could kind of look at. But you also have to equate what did he say and what did he communicate is the reason why he did it. You get what I'm saying? And then kind of see what the productivity is of the longevity, credibility of why he did it, and that should be upheld as some kind of context to why he did it. So for me, it's just certain things about Iran. I know that Trump doesn't like the inefficiency and the unproductiveness of the process of it, that it needs to get to some kind of place of conclusion. You know what I mean? Whatever that is, he's willing to do a lot to get it to a conclusion where it's not an issue that's on the table every single year. You know what I mean? So we'll go through all that stuff like that. So I really don't want to. I'm only letting them play this because they're going to do a little commentary behind it or debate behind it. And I got to give you guys some kind of context of what they're talking about. So I'm going to grab my coffee. I'll let you guys listen to this for a second.
Area where the oil is, I call it the pipes. We left the pipes. I've just known that for a long period of time, just like I knew about the Strait, that it would be a weapon, which I predicted a long time ago, predicted all of this stuff. He strongly encouraged other nations whose economies depend on the Strait for blood. I mean, numerous countries have told me they're on the way. Some are very enthusiastic about it, and some aren't.
The president was also commenting on Iran's new supreme leader amid some pretty interesting reports. The New York Post claims that President Trump had a priceless reaction after U.S. intelligence told him that the new Ayatollah is probably gay and that his late father didn't think he was the right fit for the family business. But the president isn't even sure if the new guy is alive. Watch.
They're saying that he lost his leg, the one leg, and he's, been hurt very badly. Other people are saying he's dead. Nobody's saying he's 100% healthy. And he hasn't spoken because the Ayatollah would sit and he'd spew hate from a form of a throne. Not as nice as a throne. I like the English throne much better. But it was a fancy chair.
And the liberal media's latest hot take, apparently America is no better than Iran, and Epic Fury is racist as well.
It takes a certain amount of arrogance, and I'm also going to say it, a bit of racism, to constantly talk about people like they are savages. That is a word that we have heard Hegseth use.
Our regime has secret police. They have secret police. Our regime is oppressing women. We're marginally better, and we're doing it for Christianity. They're doing it for Islam, right?
I don't think Hitler was selling merch.
No.
Hitler was very serious on his awful project.
Joey,
Wow.
I kind of wanted to ask you to give us your take on the situation with the military at the moment, but do you...
Now, this is what the reason why I'm showing this to you, because I don't care about this show. I care about the illusion of fair and balance. So the fair and balance structure is that Fox News allows conservatives and Republicans to debate the issues. Okay, liberals and conservatives, Democrats and Republicans debate the issues. And the other networks, MSNBC, they call it NBC. Trump kind of butchered MSNBC, so he calls it MSDNC. So they stopped using MSNBC and they make it MS Now because he does such a hit job on them, And then CNN and ABC, CBS, and all of them, they're so biased. 90% of it's pretty much leaning liberal, so they don't have a objective analyzation or debate about the issues with both opinions of Democrats and Democrats and Republicans and Democrats and liberals and conservatives. They don't have that. And Fox News say we're fair and balanced. We do give you both sides. I say it's good to give both point of views, but then but when you do that, you have to have an arbitrator to say what's the actual facts and what's the truth from either side. You can't allow a liberal to give their opinion and then let a conservative give their opinion, or let a conservative give their opinion and let a liberal give their opinion, and let a Democrat give their opinion, let a Republican give their opinion, or let a Republican give their opinion, let a Democrat give their opinion, and then just leave it like that. That it forces the anchor to say, well, let's make this clear. This is what the truth is. This was communicated. This is what's on the recording. This is what was on the tape or the clip that we played to you. You are putting in your own biases. You are putting in your own perspective. You are putting in your own hypothesis of it and your ideological point of view of what that meant to you on it. But the facts is this. And that allows for the viewer to be more educated and see the probable and high probable likelihood of the outcome of the information, what it really means. So in that situation, we have a society that says it's only, we all have some point of view. Well, your point of view could be wrong too. And the society needs to know if your point of view is wrong. I don't give a shit about you having a point of view, but there's no way that I'm going to allow society to think it's valid, like it's accurate, because nobody's contesting it, or nobody knows how to articulate that you're a complete moron. You get what I'm saying? So That's why I wanted to use this as an example, because I think MS now, they already took their side. ABC, CBS, CNN, they took their side. They're liberals. Majority of their point of view is liberal and Democrat. So they already took that side. But Fox News, I'm not asking them to take a side, but I'm asking them to not leave it on the table what the truth is and what it's not. You know what I mean? Don't let subjective narrative be the last talking point. You need to let the people know what the factual evidence and how, and what's the processing of it is. And the only way I can explain that to you guys, I need to take you through this real quick.
Want to comment on the last bit there first?
Yeah, who is he even comparing to Hitler? We don't know anymore because it's just going full circle. We have no idea. I mean, Hitler was a vegetarian, so we're going to hate vegetarians now too. I don't know. I don't know why they sit there. Listen, by all intents and purposes, if predominantly white countries did the things that Iran did, I think we'd have no problem bombing the hell out of them too. I mean, that's it. It's not about who the countries are. Look at who the allies are. I mean, we're working with pretty much every other Middle Eastern country that's saying this is a problem. I get really upset when we get into this. It's okay to question why now. It's okay to question how necessary was it. I don't mind that. I don't mind investigations on it. I want people to ask questions. I fought those two never-ending wars. If this is over in a couple of weeks, and that's my hope, and that's what they say, then I think it makes a lot of sense. But when you have Democrats sit there and go, use the 13 that have died as their justification for not just opposing this, but working hard to work against it, it just really, it makes me want to grind my teeth. I mean, we've lost 13 souls. The last time we lost 13 souls was surrendering Afghanistan. And if you didn't,
and his point is ridiculous too, but it's his point. He's a military vet. He lost his legs in the war and stuff like that. So you got to give him his opinion and stuff. I think it's complete ridiculous that we lost 13 soldiers. 6 of them because they were refueling a jet in the air, and another jet hit the plane, or the incompetency of the operations of the plane because they couldn't land at a base and refuel because of issues with other countries for us to land and utilize their air bases and stuff. That overall, the reason why they're dead is because in service of this Iran attack, this Iran war that Trump has put on the record now, or actually put into motion now. In addition to the other 7 people that died on the base, these people wasn't out in the field. They wasn't in operations of fighting Iran. They was just because we couldn't perceive, or our military didn't perceive, or didn't have any precautions or any counter action or shielding or mechanisms or air defense missiles in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, what's the other one? Bahrain, at Kuwait, in our military air bases and stuff, Iraq and all that stuff, our military air bases, major places that Iran and a lot of surgeons or militias have tried to attack, and they knew that they were areas of conflict there, and there were American military bases. And because we didn't have any air defense, and they just could not perceive that Iran would attack their friends, people that they actually do business with, people that they exchange money with, they didn't perceive them exchanging fire with them. In America, so dumb, and even Trump, they got an error with this. His military got an error with this. They're so incompetent that they think that we could ever trust any ally that we have that's in the Middle East. Their culture is too different from ours. Their way of being is too different from ours. So so the thing is, of course, Saudi Arabia or Qatar or Bahrain or the UAE, anybody would have actually said, hey, if America attacks Iran, you're like, we don't want you to attack us, but we can't really try to stop you from attacking their military bases that are in our country. It's a certain kind of passive aggressive interaction that Qatar had with Iran, Bahrain had with Iran, the UAE had with Iran, Saudi Arabia even had with Iran. And that's why it was so as an option to attack our military bases and actually nail it. It wasn't no demands for anti-missile technologies or weaponry in Qatar, in Saudi Arabia or Bahrain or the UAE. You know what I mean? It wasn't really any guarantee to or necessity to have that infrastructure set up, just like how they got in Israel. Why? That's what you got to ask yourself. You got to ask yourself, okay, and I gotta let me let Tim finish and let me make my point about the bad subjective narrative and the subjective debating for conservatives and liberals and Democrats and Republicans. Let me make that point, and then I could kind of go to some other things.
Have anything to say with a botched operation. Understand that we didn't have a plan to leave Afghanistan. We saw the Taliban coming and said, you know what? We can't stop them. So we're just going to get out of there as fast as we can. We don't really have a plan for it. We're going to surrender Bagram. We're going to surrender every strategic advantage we have. And we're going to leave Marines and soldiers outside the perimeter at gates as sitting ducks until enough of them die that it's a problem. And if you didn't have any criticism, if you weren't calling for investigations and hearings and impeachment over that, but you are now on an offensive operation where 13 souls have died, bombing Iran into the Stone Age, taking away a foe and their capability to kill us and hurt us, then you're intellectually dishonest and you're dishonoring the service and sacrifice of both of those groups of heroes. And that's what bothers me so bad about where this is right now. I replayed something Chuck Schumer, his speech on the floor, and just this idea that they don't understand that right now the job is to cheer for our troops to win and win swiftly, and then have all your hearings and all your investigations and go raise your money and all your stump speeches.
They're definitely not doing that. I mean, on the first day, Hakeem Jeffries was like, well, this is a failure. Kaylee, but what did you think of, you can comment on whatever you want, but I would love your thought about when you have that clip that we played at the end where they said that the United States is suppressing women just as much as they are, but we're doing it in the name of Christianity.
I thought this.
Sorry about the commercials. Yeah, I feel like just a lot of stuff that we allow, like Biden to do, that even we allow Obama to do, and then even like what's going on with Trump and like him fighting the government and the political system and the power structure and all that stuff, and him have to kind of submit that you can't really change this stuff. I don't know what's going on. This is something that he's got to figure out a way to control the narrative in the next year or so, to even just explain why he made the decisions he made and what's going on in the behind the scenes stuff, because his rhetoric is not enough for like common sense communication. But I want people to understand you can't criticize other countries and other civilizations no more, because we live in a society now. I think a lot of people think that we live in a time where, oh man, we gotta put things together in America. We gotta get all our policies, and we gotta get these bad people out of government and all that other stuff, because sooner or later, the society is only going to be able to work for the rich. I think people think that's coming, like it's coming down the road, that this society, American society, will be only valuable and prosperous, or a good environment for the rich only. And if you're not rich, then you're completely getting destroyed, and it's a bad life for you. You know what I mean? And I'm here to tell you guys, that's now. That's now. We're here. That society is now. It's now. If you're not making about, or at least in your household, if you're not making about, I would say $150,000 a year and up. You know, you normally say like $100,000, but I think you could somewhat play and fight a little bit, get a couple good swings in there, you know, get a couple good swings and good jabs in there. I think you're good if you're in like 70, 80. But boy, I really truly think it's more 150. You know, I really truly think that you gotta have $150,000 and up to live in our world, to see some fairness inside of America, and to be respected as a human being. In America, you gotta have about 150 in a household, so that's 2 people or 1 person. You know what I mean? And that's now. That society is here now. I think a lot of the level up culture is, can you get people that are confused about their own dignity, confused about their own purpose, confused about their own value, confused about their own humanity, confused about their own being? Can you get them to throw you 10 grand when it's all said and done? So get them to do that within 3 years or 5 years or a year or something like that. If you could somewhat get that transaction and that interaction going with them and stuff, you can level yourself up and you could be in a high economic situation where you're very part of the few. But those people that gave you that money, they got some information from you, but they're trying to find the relevancy inside of their own personal day-to-day life. And most of the time, because it's so highfalutin, it's so high grandeur and high academia or philosophical views, that it's not physically real, and you can't really utilize it on a day-to-day basis because it's shrouded in manipulation, articulation, and communication. So people lose things that they buy, books that they read, music that they listen to, philosophies that they kind of go by. Sometimes they don't know how to apply that to their life because it's such a disconnect from it, because the way it's articulated is not the real world to them. It's not the real circumstances to them. It's not something that they can interact with or process on a day-to-day basis to the information that they got. The information that they got is a philosophical view of a mindset that the person that wrote it, the person that said it, the person that's doing it actually has. It works for them. It works for their scenario and where they come from. So I always tell people that if you want to hear something that's universal for every American to kind of go by, because the average American, we talking about 70 to 80% make from $25,000 to maybe $55,000, $60,000 a year. That's 70 to 80% of the population in America, the working population. It's 170 million people that actually go work a job and they're in the workforce and everything. 80% of them make $25 to about $55, $60 a year. You get what I'm saying? 1% make $1 million and up. 15% probably make about $100,000 to 500,000. You know what I'm saying? You understand that? So when you understand that that's the data, that's the numbers, and that's the communication that we really need to have, then you kind of understand how much of a joke it is funny for the elites and the actual people that are finding ways to take your power from you. Because you guys got to understand this. I always watch the TV, and then you got these senior and commercials talk about. You have these senior commercials that talk about like seniors getting loans on their house and say, "Oh, you have this much equity, you have this much buying power, and maybe you could just use it for paying off your credit cards or taking a vacation or something like that." And they got to understand that company is putting a lot of residual cash flow in play in order to get what you own, because what you own and what you have that they don't have value for, or they don't have, not value, they don't have a place to take it from you. They don't have any control over it. That's the difference between you and them. You got that power, and every single year you're always 200,000, 400,000, 800,000 and up of value that's to your name at any given moment, any given second. You have that value. So everybody got to talk to you with that value. And most people don't know this, so that's why they don't. If they get in a good market value place, they give up their property. They sell their house. You know what I'm saying? Instead of finding a way to keep that house, rent it out or something like that in order to keep the power. Because the people that really matter in this world, they want what you own. A lot of people own businesses, but their kids don't want it. Their kids don't want to like do like labor or like do the kind of workforce stuff that kind of would be to keep up with their parents' assets or something like that. So the parents are selling off ready-made businesses to other people, and that's a business. That's a $10-20 billion a year business that a lot of wealthy people, that a lot of rich people, that a lot of people with some economic dollars purchase businesses that's already built, that families are willing to to give up because they don't have any heir to transition and keep up with the business. So it's a lot of that going on. So it's already companies that are already flush with cash and flush with customers, flush with operation, and they're selling it to a person to transition because they don't have anybody to pass them over to. You get what I'm saying? So let's get back to this process of fair and balance and objectivity and liberal versus conservative and Democrat versus Republican.
Soccer team who the reporting now suppressing women like what are they talking about? Suppressing what are they talking about? Suppressing women like the Iranian soccer team, who the reporting now is that they were goaded into, taking this asylum claim. And then as it turns out, that was not an authentic endeavor. It was a staffer luring them in. And then these women's families were threatened. What do you mean? That's not happening here in the United States. Mm-hmm. They love this Handmaid's Tale narrative. They push it. It's just simply not the case. We have First Amendment rights in this country. We have all of the freedoms and
Hey, Mary, what she call that? It's a TV show on Hulu that women are suppressed and stuff like that, in the society that women are suppressed and stuff. I don't think I got past like maybe 20 minutes of it. I'm gonna try to watch it though, because it's such a reference in our society, so I need to watch it.
Simply not the case. We have First Amendment rights in this country. We have all of the freedoms and protections of the Constitution, just like our male counterparts. But that's lost upon the left and these insane commentators. I do want to emphasize the importance of this cargo operation that took place. It is a huge deal. President Trump, going back to 1988, has spoken about it. He said they've been beating us psychologically, speaking of Iran, making us look like a bunch of fools. One bullet shot at one of our men on our ships, and I'd do a number on Karg Island. I'd go in and take it. Here we are, 1988. That's the year I was born. And yet here we are. President Trump is taking this action that he contemplated for the last 30.
So they said that Trump gave a comment in 1988 about the Karg Island. And let me see if I can grab it. And that's the copy. So say Donald Trump Karg Island in 1988. Let's see. Okay, here it goes. Okay, so let me share my screen so you guys can kind of see what I'm looking at. Okay. Let's see this. Okay, let's just go here. Boom, boom. Right here. Okay. You guys see it on the screen? Let me look at it. Yep, you guys see it. So this is Money Control website. Okay. Take out the sales. Starlink. I definitely want to move to Starlink. I got to do some research on it. Just make sure that it can keep up with all the demands of all the stuff we already have. But anyway, it says there's a article done by Donald Trump in 1988. I do remember on Karg Island, Trump 1988 Iran warning resurfaced after U.S. strikes. A 1988 interview shows Donald Trump spoke about Iran's Karg Island decade before ordering U.S. strikes on the strategic oil hub. Okay. A resurfaced 1988 interview reveals Donald Trump spoke about attacking Iran key oil hub nearly 40 years before ordering strikes on the strategic island, meaning like his recent strikes on it. Okay, it's almost like a redundant kind of communication here. And it says a resurfaced interview from 1988 has drawn fresh attention after U.S. President Donald Trump ordered strikes on Iran strategic Karg Island, revealing that he had spoken and attacked the same target nearly 4 decades ago. The comments from the interview Trump gave to The Guardian when he was a New York businessman. In the interview, Trump argues that Washington should take a tougher line against Iran and respond forcefully to actions in the Persian Gulf. Okay, these are his comments. It'd be harsh on Iran. I'm trying to figure out how he's saying that. It'd be, because maybe they kind of coming in mid conversation. Sorry about that. It'd be harsh on Iran, meaning that he would be harsh on Iran. I don't know. Maybe that should have been I'd be harsh on Iran. They'd say it'd be harsh on Iran. They've been beating us psychologically, making us look like a bunch of fools, Trump said. One bullet shot at one of our men or ships, and I'll do a number on Karg Island. I go in and take it. Trump also suggests that Iran was emboldened despite being engaged in a difficult war with Iraq at the time. Iran can't even beat Iraq, yet they push the United States around. He said, it'd be good for the world to take them on. So he was pretty much aggressive against Iran even in 1988, talking about, hey, we kind of been foolish, like letting them kind of dictate or threaten or do passive aggressive attacks on us. The decades-old remarks resurfaced after the United States shared a snippet of the interview following U.S. military strikes on Kark Island, which hosted the main terminal for Iran crude oil exports. Well, they just say crude exports, meaning that you're supposed to know that it's crude oil. Okay, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt circulated the excerpt, saying the president's views on Iran have remained consistent for decades. Obviously, that's what you see. Okay, so I'm just showing you guys that comment that they're talking about as a reference on this show.
37 years. It's incredible. It's a huge operation. 100 Iranian ships sunk altogether now, 6,000 combat fights, and then 50,000 U.S. service members deployed overseas. And now we're looking at the Achilles heel of Iran. That's Karg, which Carter contemplated taking, never did it. But now you have President Trump. I just want to take one moment to acknowledge the latest 6 service members who died overseas. There's some heartbreaking stories. John Kleiner, he had 7-month-old twins. He had a 2-year-old son. And then you look over at Ashley Pruitt, a 3-year-old child. She was a mother and she lost her life. These are courageous. They are heroes. They are the best among us. And to the 13 who have lost their life, thank you from the bottom of my heart. We honor your sacrifice today and every day.
Harold, thoughts on where we are, even if you maybe want to touch on the economics, if you...
Well, first off, it's good to be with everybody. And I would say, first off, I know we all shared my prayers of Susie Walls and her family for their more belief and more strength and more courage, and obviously to a full recovery for her. I'd say a couple things. I don't think there's any doubt we have laid waste to, the United States and our incredible military has laid waste to virtually, I got to think, the traditional military infrastructure of Iran has been, if not depleted, pretty much devastated in such ways that will be hard to reconstruct immediately. One thing they do still have, according to some experts, is access to the drones, and we've got to figure out our counter-drone technology and measures will only get better as we have to deal with this for a while, because it makes it, when you think about it, our stance, when the president says we're going to end this, the question becomes, when do the Iranians, to what extent will they have some say in when we end it? 2, the newsy thing for me,
and that's, he's a liberal and he's kind of a Democrat and stuff like that. And the reason why he's arguing that, because he's saying, well, what operations will Iran has, and if we know everything that they know, if our satellite feeds and all our stuff that we've been kind of actually doing like a detailed reconnaissance of on every single country, Russia and everything. If we kind of know where all the weapons at and all the military places at and all that stuff and all their military, all their navy, we bombed them, we blew them up. They don't have any major weaponry ability to kind of counteract a war by another dominant country. But my problem is that they're still shooting missiles. It's even if it's 8% of the ability that they used to have, it's still 8% that they're able to shoot off anytime they want. And that means that you don't have total control over how they shoot missiles, even in the distance of of Israel. That's got to stop. That's got to get destroyed. And in addition to that, that's when it's over. It doesn't matter if they hate us still or they still chant death to America. It's still that the ability of them to be able to kind of do something to us, or technically Israel, will be completely destroyed. But at the same time, to really, really nail them where they can't even rebuild and they completely, totally dominate it, America has to kill innocent people in Iran. And I say that was not an option for me, and I didn't really want this war to happen. But when you lose American citizens, like I always say, and I know this is harsh, I know this is terrible, but to my full belief and true heart, Israel or Iran's people are not worth one American soldier. They're not worth one American soldier. Now, the American people are pretty pathetic because we have total freedom and we try to take it from each other on a day-to-day basis. We try to take our own freedoms away from ourselves on a day-to-day basis. So I won't give any validity to the American people, because the American people, even with the vastness, opportunity, vastness, understanding of and political power and physical power and freedom, we're so strong and we're so powerful, but we do psychological warfare on ourselves, and we got idealistic and ideological point of views that attack us, and we attack ourselves on a day-to-day basis. But American soldiers, they gave up their life, or they at least put themselves in a posture situation to give up their life. And I don't want to hear about American citizens dying on a military base that we didn't have any counteracting of, like missiles coming from Iran. There's not a nuclear, there's not no stealth bomb dropping or some really precisional talented rockets. These are something that an anti-drone system could have knocked out the air. And we felt that. So that means we have 13 total American citizens that died in a conflict that we needed to take care of in Iran. But at the same time, because we took an early interaction with them, is for two reasons. One, Trump gave his word that he's going to send help to Iran's people if they kill protesters and stuff. He should have never put that red line out. One thing Trump don't do is he don't give his word on something and take it back. But if you give your word on something, you have to have the discipline to retract that word if it's a complete idiotic situation to go forward. With more calculation, more understanding, you may have to reposition yourself on something that's make it seem like you're contradicting or you backing off or you're weakening. But he decided to, hey, I want to take out the government and the power structure of Iran in the first place. So this is a good time to do it more than others. But now you have a bad economy now. You have stock dropping, and you're always touting the stock because at least people 401k, people that made a good decision to get 401k, they would be new millionaires. They would be new successful people. But now that's dropping. In addition to that, you got gas where people kind of spending $1,000 to $1,500 a month to be able to put gas in their car. That's going to probably get them $5,000 and more, like less spending power than they had last year for this year. That's not good. You get what I'm saying? So when you hear like a person like this gentleman right here that's on the screen kind of articulates his liberal point of view of why we here, why we in this war, he has a passive aggressive way of talking about it. Let's go back to it.
Maybe I had just not seen it. The president called it a war for the first time. He was asked why he made delay. He was going to go to China at the end of the month, and he said, "I want to be here for the war." I've always thought it was the case, and I'm glad that we're on the same page.
That's a stupid thing. So that's a talking point that the liberals want him to say war, and I guess he hasn't said it or something. But it's such a vital thing for them because they want to say, see, you got us in another war. You got us in another war. You said you wasn't going to get us in no new wars, but now that you got us in a new war, now you even admit that it is a war. Of course, he should have, he can't really say that no more. He got us in a new war. He got us in a war that he feels that was valuable to get in a war to eliminate the threat of Iran and not have to keep dealing with it every single year. But additional, he played a situation that some of the worst people in our societies, like General King and a lot of other generals, a lot of other Republicans, a lot of other warmongers, and in addition to Israel, that we getting into something that's not beneficial to the American people right now.
I think there are three questions that remain, and I would agree with everybody here. All the hearings Democrats we want to hold, Joey's right, hold after, or at least not now. I mean, if we find ourselves in a more prolonged posture position, I can understand several months from now, and even perhaps another vote. But this is not the time. We need to be supporting our troops, and for that matter, opening the Department of Homeland Security at the same time. But I think three questions.
He's talking about, it's okay to have investigation and impeachments and all that stuff later. He's trying to make it sound good, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to put people in jail for having this war. You get what I'm saying? And it's like that. That's how Obama killed American citizens with drones. Even if they was radicals, he did that. You get what I'm saying? And he ain't no order to do that. That no matter how much you think an American citizen is like a criminal and they're doing criminal acts, you can't do a mission to bomb them. You get what I'm saying? Our military could have grabbed that person, put them on a helicopter, brought them back to America, and charged them. But we decided to do a actual bombing and a drone bombing on that American citizen. I think it was in a coffee shop with other civilians. You get what I'm saying? But it was a great opportunity for Obama to do it, so he did that. That's a hell of a criminal act. You get what I'm saying? So they don't want to do that. Obama bombed Libya. Did the same thing that Trump doing to Iran. He did it to Libya. And he sent guns in. That's why they was in Libya giving guns to militias and stuff. They had CIA and everybody in there giving guns to militia. Look, I put my disclaimer on the beginning of the show. This is my opinion. This is how I feel about it. I can go pull up stuff to follow this, but do your homework. And then that made where they could attack, where they could have people on the ground and the actual militia and everybody on the ground. Pretty much, we was arming ISIS. We was arming radical Islamic terrorist groups in Libya to overthrow Gaddafi. That's what happened with Obama. That whole situation, that whole war, go look it up, y'all. That whole war was not sanctioned by the Congress, not voted on by Congress. It was an executive order. It was a president's decision to do that. Don't tell me about Iran. This is ridiculous. You get what I'm saying? So I'll let him finish up a little bit.
Come to my mind. Will we commit troops? I heard the president, I heard him this morning. Joey and I were talking in the room. I felt like he'd been on TV 3 or 4 times today. I was confusing this morning on Fox and Friends with the two instances he came on later today. And I'm glad he answered a lot of the questions. But will we commit troops to uncover and or recover the uranium? I think in the immediate sense, can we build a coalition to help us in the Strait of Hormuz?
And this uranium stuff, that uranium stuff is done. They don't have no nuclear position. The old uranium the uranium stuff that they talking about is done. It's in mountains of rubble and it's completely destroyed. They had to bring Russia in to build a new site. They know what that new site is, and they bombing that new site. So that's just to build the infrastructure to build nuclear warheads and stuff like that and bombs and stuff, but they destroyed that. So that's not even an issue. And that was so they could build a better infrastructure for nuclear, but that's not an option no more. So they're saying it because they want Trump, and you got the CIA, and you got very corrupt people that's trying to damage Trump and damage his political power. They're trying to make it seem like the Iranium situation in Iran is still an issue, and it's really not. You get what I'm saying? But they try to make him trying to solve it forever. So they try to trick him into being dumb enough to put military boots on a wild ass, highly funded militia situation. Our troops would, if you think our troops got their ass handed to them in Iraq, they'll get really their ass handed to them in Iran. Not that we now have the most powerful military. It's just that you're coming into the bottomless pit of death in circumstances that you can't even calculate. If you go on foot in Iran, there's too many ways that they could have insurgents, landmines, bombs, all kind of stuff, and it would be the dumbest thing to do. You know what I mean? Trump won't ever take that away. He don't want to have somebody call him on his bluff on that, but at the same time, don't get triggered into that. I shouldn't even have to tell a president not to get triggered into doing something there's no upside for. But a lot of this is no upside.
Moves to whether it's escorting tankers or, for that matter, helping in other ways to ensure that we get a better passage of infrastructure there, including oil, which fertilizer and other things come from as well. And where are we on regime change? I was a little unnerved to hear. I hope the reporting was wrong, that the president had some sort of response when learning that this new leader in Iran may have a sexual orientation different than his. The key is we have to beat these guys. I don't care if his sexual orientation is the same or not.
What reporting are you talking about of that? If you're gonna add that to the context, what are you talking about? He talked on 3 fucking shows, and he did hours of. I'm talking about Trump, and sorry for my language. Trump has done hours and hours of live interviews on this day, yesterday, and nobody ever said about his gay orientation or all the other stuff. What report is that? And if you're gonna report that, cite it. You get what I'm saying? But that's some kind of propaganda that they put it on there to try to say, oh, Trump is an anti-gay person. It's ridiculous.
But where are we on regime change? And I think a number of Americans, and for that matter, policymakers and politicians, are probably curious about that issue as well. But then I don't have a totally different perspective. I think that we need to be supportive of our troops, and I don't think it's unusual for serious and perhaps hard questions to be asked of the president. And he answered a lot of them over seemed like the 6 hours he was on TV today.
Greg, you have
they laugh, but Obama would never he would never communicate with the media and people that hate him and that's asking him all kind of questions that he don't really want to answer. He would never be on the air like that. Biden, Bush, none of these presidents would. He's giving them transparent. He's trying to communicate everything. That's why I said I got to do a different episode to walk you guys through his interview, through his Q&As and stuff, because he told you everything you need to know about everything he thinks of about being a president.
Notes, you have all of these things here. I don't even know where to go because we've kind of talked about the media.
This new Ayatollah is gay. All right. So this explains why Kamala Harris did not choose him as vice president, because we weren't ready to have a gay Ayatollah. I'm not ready. I know that I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Permission, Joey, to make a joke about a lost limb.
Oh, please do.
All right. So this prime minister, he's impotent. He's disfigured. He's in a coma. He lost his leg. When he wakes up, he's going to be hopping mad.
Man, we've got so much in common.
1 to 10?
10.
Okay, thanks. I do. And Kaylee is right. It's like the people that were always saying America would be the Handmaid's Tale, this dystopian fantasy of a totalitarian theocracy.
Yeah, that's the show. Hey, Mary, Handmaid's Tale is on Hulu. But I'm gonna let him finish up, and then I'm gonna end this this morning show. I just wanted to kind of give an example of, you know, what the different things I'm going to be talking about, and we're going to come in and just really run through stuff and just go grab stuff, you know what I mean, and talk about it and stuff like that. But I just wanted to talk about this fair and balanced situation
that subjugates women are now embracing the actual reality, Iran, which is a totalitarian theocracy that subjugates women. And I do love the fact that, like, how no offense, Harold, how Democrats are really sticklers about language, they certainly can identify a war, but try to pin them on the definition of a woman. Like, oh, I know what a war is. Why would you say war? Okay, well, what you say what a woman is first, and then we'll work on war.
I can tell you.
I know. Well, you're different. You're a normal human being. Also, you listen to like Joy Reid, and she goes, well, there is Islamic and we're Christian. Well, there's a difference. We don't separate the world into believer and non-believer. We separate people by their behavior. They don't, which is why they can torment non-believers, because the behavior is okay. The accusations of Trump being manipulated by Israel, that accusation should go away once and for all. Kayla, you brought this up. He was talking about the Iranian threat back in the 1980s, and he kept talking about it. He was talking about it constantly. I don't think he was, he had Jerry Seinfeld on the line telling him what to say. All right. This is why Trump has resisted every label that you give him. He's not a hawk. He's not a dove. He just looks at risk and reward and incentives and disincentives because he's a businessman. This is something that hawks and doves, interventionists, isolationists, libertarians, this is their flaw. If you are imprisoned by an ideology, the adversary knows how to play you. They can see it. It's why they can't play Trump, because one minute he's a dove, the next minute he's a hawk. It's because he's none of the above. He's simply just Trump.
Right.
Okay. Now,
everyone, well done.
Be sure.
So like kind of end the segment like that, and it's a bunch of opinions about the context of what the war is and why we're over there and all the other stuff. But what they should do is they should play what he said. You get what I'm saying? But this is a talk show and it's a commentary show just to kind of have a various of point of views. Is not to be accurate. You get what I'm saying? I'm telling you guys, all their news coverage is pretty much the same. Everything, even like the prominent important news, 6 o'clock news, the morning news, it's all this bantering and all this various of opinions and stuff. It is no hard facts on. Don't say that, because that's not true. That's your opinion. They don't actually do that. Like 90% of the day is like this, where you don't know what's the facts. You don't know what the truth of the opinion is. So that's the point I wanted to show to you guys. I'm going to end this because I got to make a quick run and everything. And I'm always doing multi stuff, and then I'll come and do podcasting when I can. So I'll see you guys. This is Individual Perspective Podcast. This is our morning view, and I'll be coming in the morning to kind of give you guys these little views on my opinion on certain things. And it's going to get a little aggressive and stuff. But right now, I just wanted to kind of show just a little tiny example of it. This is Individual Perspective Podcast. My name is Daris D. McKinney. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I got to get those people up. We got to get those numbers up, y'all. I need the views. So please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next one.